So in our earlier lectures, we have covered some of the basics of Laplace transforms, and we have seen some properties as well that we will be utilizing time to time in this whole course. Now
Yes, sir.
we will start with the basics of control system, and as you can see, our name is basically PCS. The name of the subject is PCS, that is principal control. C stands for control, and H stands for system. Basically, generally in other, if you can find out, generally it is called as control system, CS. But just to make a differentiation, because in electrical students as well as triple E students, you find that they are studying linear control system. So if we use a simple wording that CS, then how to differentiate between these two, that is linear and principal. So therefore, in our, as far as this university is concerned, we are using, that is electronics students are using principal, triple E, and electrical students are using linear. All in all, 90% of the syllabus is same as far as this control system as a whole course is concerned. So you call it PCS, you call it LCS, you call it CS. It is control system. So we can see that it consists of word, three words, two words, whatever you call. First word is system, then principal control. So we will have a discussion about these few words, and we will slowly build our base and move towards more complex things. So first is that we will be discussing today is what is system, or what is systems. So this is the topic for our today's discussion, what is systems, and slowly we will have maybe one lecture, it will be enough for system for giving an introductory view, and then later on we can study what is control system as a whole. Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So system in a very basic way, if you want to look at into it, so I'm calling it as a system. I'm keeping it in a box. You can see here, you can consider this as a black box. Black box, why I'm saying, because anything what is a black box that you do not know what is it's inside. So let us just call it as a box. We are having a system where this arrow indicates certain kinds of input which you are providing to the system, and you are getting output in response to the input. In various books, other books, some books they call it input, some books they will call it as excitation and response, right? Interchangeably, both are same, input and output, excitation or response. It does not depend, but the whole thing, the thing to understand is a system is a component to which any input can be given, signal can be given, and certain tasks can be accomplished. Please do not write anything on the chat box because I cannot find, I cannot see. If you have any doubt, you can ask. So whatever you are seeing on the screen, the same thing I am also seeing on the screen. I cannot see the chat box. So system is, you can consider any component or any equipment to which any input is provided to get any output. Now, what kind of input can be provided? And for this case, we have already seen some of the test inputs or excitations that we have already studied in Laplace, and I have already discussed in brief. Some kinds of input signals can be impulse signal, can be unit step, it can be unit ramp, or it can be parabolic. So these are the basic types of system, and out of these four standard signals, you can make any kind of a signal like this if you want, and you can provide to any system and study its response. Now, for each input, they can have dedicated response, right? Like if I R1, R2, R3, R4, And for this, let us say response is R5. These all responses will be different from each other because we can see the input is different in nature. So this is what we are going to study in future lectures, that how a system is responding given to certain input conditions. So that is the definition of a system, you can call it, in a very basic level. Now a system can be comprised of many subsystems as well. So this is just a pictorial representation. You can call it as SS1, that is SS2, SS3, SS4. So here is our input or excitation. The input is also going to this block. I'm just giving you a pictorial representation of many kinds of systems. So this is also one kind of system. This is our output and or response. So as one can find out that in system, there are many subsystems. S stands for subsystem. S stands for subsystem. So in a complex system, there can be more than one subsystem, and the response of all those combined will give you our total output. So you can see on the left hand side, we are having our input or excitation, and on the right hand side, we are having a response. So this is just to give you a brief idea about a system can be made up of single element, as you can see here, as this. Like thermometer is having you can say mercury in it, so you can call it as a system. And this is you can consider it to be a complex system or system with many subsystems. So we will see some examples of these systems that we are seeing. Examples of systems. So let us say that a motor is a system where we have two parameters, that is input or output. Input to the motor is electrical energy, and output of the motor is mechanical energy. That is torque oblique rotation. So if you consider your ceiling fan, which is I'm assuming that all of you are right now under your ceiling fan, and you can consider that to be a system. A ceiling fan has at a very basic level is having an input called as electrical energy. You are sitting on the ceiling fan, and what is the output that you are getting? That ceiling fan start rotation. So that is called as mechanical motion. So it start rotating, and again, if you want to go onto very little more deep, so there is a regulator where if you increase the speed of the fan, you have to set it to a number 5, and if you want to lower the speed, you can set it to number 1. So again, this is an example of motor as a system, or a ceiling fan. In this case, you can consider, if you have not ever seen the motor, you can consider a ceiling fan as an example of system. Next example that you will see for system is again air condition or air conditioner, or we basically call it as AC. Again, it is having an input and output. So what is the input? Again, we are giving to the AC. Again, we are giving an electrical energy. We are providing an electrical energy as an input to the AC. And what is the output that we are getting? We are getting output as a heat energy. That is, it changes the ambient temperature. It changes the temperature, you can call it, or you can call it as a room temperature or ambient temperature. So this is the output, that is heat energy is the output of an air conditioner, whereas the input is again same as motor, as electrical energy. So these are just a basic idea about why we are calling a system, or what system actually means. Next example of a system, if you deviate little from electronics and electrical, if you want to deviate from electronics, let us just call it as human body. Let us just consider our body as a system. Let us suppose that I'm not asking that, not hoping that you might get, but let us suppose all of you might have got fever at some point of your life, and in type of that, in that time you might have taken the medicine. So in this case, medicine is working as an input. Suppose you are having a fever and you are taking a medicine, and medicine will perform. If you take medicine, if you swallow it, it will perform some reactions inside your body, and that will be, you can call it as a drug or medicine distribution. And it affect the body. How it affect the body? It lowers the temperature, or for whatever purpose you are taking the medicine. Suppose someone is having BP, that is high BP. If he needs to take certain regular medicine every day, so that his or her BP does not exceed a given particular value. So human body you can also consider as a system where input is medicine. Depending upon you, you can consider input as anything. So what is the input? What is the input? That is medicine. And what is the response of the medicine is the output. Next example we can consider as a vehicle. Let us suppose a car or a truck, or in this case you can consider a cycle also. These are few examples of vehicle. So input that you are providing is acceleration. Please mute yourself. If you are having doubt, then you can unmute. Deacceleration. Input that you are providing to your car is acceleration, or cycle. If you are on cycle, you want to pedal so that it starts moving with a higher velocity. So that is the input that you are providing to a car or a truck or cycle. And output, whatever output you are getting, is vehicle displacement. Right? Suppose if this is your vehicle and you are pressing an accelerator, then it attains a velocity, and after some time it reaches here. So this is the displacement that your vehicle is subjected to certain kinds of acceleration. So input is again acceleration, and output is vehicle displacement, as you can see. So we can classify these. We have seen some examples of systems. Now there are numerous examples of systems. I will not go into very deep. Different types of systems are there, which you can read it from the book. I hope all of you have downloaded some book, that is Ogata. I have already told you to download the book, and I have already shown you the link. Now we will see, since we already studied some amount of systems, now we will see classification of systems. That is, how many types we can classify our system. That means how many different types of systems are there. Though this not be total 100% coverage, but you can consider it to be many of the systems comes under this category. So variety of classifications are possible based on the system features and applications. How we are classifying the system based on their features and applications. So let us just classify them. You might have already studied this on your previous semester. Linear and nonlinear systems, static, like dynamic system, time invariant, public time variant systems. Last is causal, non-causal systems. So we have classified these systems into 4 broad categories. I hope that you have already studied this in your previous semester in signal system course or network synthesis. We will see very briefly what are these systems, how we are classifying this system, and then we will continue our control system course. So we will just have a brief look into these different types of systems. So first one is linear system versus non-linear systems. So what is the definition for linear system? Output of the system varies linearly with the input. Output varies linearly with input. So if I want to draw a characteristic curve, let us suppose x-axis shows me input, y-axis shows me output. So according to the definition, the curve should be linear. It can be like this, it can be like this, it can be like this, with different slopes. Okay, these are the different responses. If any one of the responses, that is pink line, is there for a system, we call it as a linear system. Here, output varies non-linearly with input. Again, if I want to draw a characteristic curve, suppose this is our input, this is our output. In this case, our output may be increasing non-linearly, as you can see here. These are the two responses of two different systems. If you want to increase, you can increase like this. Okay. So graph 1 shows a linear system, graph 2 shows a non-linear system. Again, further classification is further difference is that it satisfies homogeneity and superposition theorem. It does not satisfy this. It does not satisfies. We will see what is homogeneity and what is superposition. Example, if you want to see for a linear system, is resistor. An example for this case you can consider as a diode. All the active elements I'm talking about are generally non-linear in nature. Active elements means diode, transistors, MOSFETs, FETs, JFETs. These all comes under the non-linear devices. Why we are calling it as a non-linear? Because it is having non-linear relationship with input and output. Whereas the resistor or passive elements, that is passive elements. What are passive elements? That is R, L, and C. Considering L and C are both discharged, that is no initial condition, or initial conditions are 0. So if an element or if a system performs satisfy homogeneity and superposition, that means that system is a linear system. And if a system does not satisfy homogeneity and superposition, that system we call it as a non-linear system. Now, what is superposition theorem? If you can recall it, if we are having a function of the system of x1 and x2, and this will be equal to f of x1 plus f of x2. So this is a homogeneity. This is superposition. So let us consider again for this proof, that is a voltage, DC voltage source V, and the resistor is R. Now, if you apply the DC voltage, a current will be flown. Now, according to Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. Now, I is the current that is flowing because you have applied a voltage R. So, I is the output. You can take I is the output. So, I is equal to V by R. So, consider this I is equal to V by R. Now, take two voltages, that is V1 and V2. And this is R. So again, a current I will be flowing. So V1 plus V2 will be equal to IR from Ohm's law. So I will be equal to V1 by R plus V2 by R. As you can see from here, So if this is a linear system, that means this will follow a superposition. And what is superposition theorem? If you are having multiple sources, you consider each source independently. And if you are having a voltage source, you short circuit that voltage source. And if you are having current source, you open circuit that current source. And all the dependent sources will continue to work as it is. Have you studied this superposition theorem earlier?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us suppose V1 is active. So we consider V1, and this is our R. So this current will be equal to V1 upon R. For second case, again, our circuit, this is V2 and R. So I will be equal to V2 by R. If you add both this, so you will be getting V1 plus V2. V1 plus V2 is equal to IR. If you add equation, this equation 1 and 2, if you add, so you will be getting this. So I will be equal to V1 by R plus V2 by R, which is same as we have already applied. So you can see both of these are same. So this resistor follows homogeneity, that is superposition. Now next is homogeneity. What is homogeneity? If your input is exceeded by or multiplied by some magnitude, then your output will also be multiplied by that magnitude. This A of X. So this is called as homogeneity. You can consider again as voltage source V, and this is R, and this I is flowing. I will be equal to V by R. We have already seen. Now, if you multiply this voltage source with A, so I will be equal to A into V by R. So you can see it is multiplied by the same amount, which is input. If input is multiplied by A, so output is also multiplied by A. So it follows homogeneity as well. So resistor is it is a linear system or a linear device. Now, similarly, if you consider for diode, if you see for diode, which is a nonlinear, we already know what is the output current equation for a diode. Or current equation of a diode, I is equal to I naught e to the power V upon eta Vt minus 1. This is the current equation for diode, where I naught is the reverse saturation current, V is the input voltage that is applied across the diode terminal, Vt is the ambient temperature or thermal temperature. You have studied this equation or not? This is a diode equation.
No, sir.
This is you have not studied diodes.
Yes, sir. Studied, sir.
We have studied
We
it,
have studied diode, but not
Yes,
this.
not this equation.
So this is the equation for current across the diode. If you apply a voltage source, then diode will starts conducting. If you apply a forward bias, so this is our forward bias. You can call it as a BF because positive terminal is connected to a P side and negative terminal is connected to N side, as you can see, right? So a current will starts to flow because we have forward bias the diode. So I current will flow. And what is the I current? Mathematically, the current is shown by this equation. That is I naught e to the power V upon eta Vt minus 1. Okay. Just assume, if you have not studied, just assume this. But I hope you might have studied this in your first semester or your third semester. You have not studied basic electronics? Have you studied basic electronics or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In first semester.
Sir, it should have been in diodes, like in the EDC, but we didn't study this particular equation. But we do know that the current starts increasing in this. Like we do know roughly. We don't know the equation, but we know it roughly.
Okay. Just for your reference, I'm providing you the characteristics. Suppose if this is voltage input voltage and this is current. So if you apply a certain voltage, diode will not start acting because it is having some cutting voltage, and after that voltage it starts increasing and goes on increasing. And if you apply a reverse voltage, then it will something look like this. And this region is called as knee region, and this is where the breakdown occurs. So this is the characteristics or output characteristics of a diode, where y-axis is current and and x-axis is your voltage. So just focus on this. That is this equation, that is current equation. Now, if you have two different voltage sources, that is V1 and V2, So I will be equal to I naught V1 plus V2 upon eta Vt minus 1. So this will be the condition. But if you solve, so this will not be equal to. But if you apply V1 and V2 individually, suppose this is our V1 and this is our V2, right? And we are applying across a diode, and this is the current which is flowing. So we can represent it like this. But if you apply superposition, what does superposition say? We have to consider each voltage at a time. So V1, we will first apply this, and a resistor is also there, and then we will apply a V2. So if we apply this one and this way, this is I and this is again I. So this will be equal to I is equal to I naught eta V1 upon eta Vt minus 1, and this will be equal to I is equal to I naught e to the power V2 upon eta V2 minus 1. So if you add both of these equations, so this will be equal to I naught e to the power V1 upon eta Vt minus 1 plus I naught e to the power V1 upon eta Vt minus 1, which is not equal to our this equation, that is I naught is not equal to I naught e to the power V1 plus V2 upon eta Vt minus 1. So the whole purpose of showing you is this, that this diode current, that is the output, does not follow the superposition theorem, and it fails on superposition theorem. Therefore we can call it as a non-linear element. So we have seen what is linear elements, and we have also seen what is non-linear element. Now we will see second types of system. What is second types of system that we have seen?
So static and dynamic.
Yes, static and dynamic. So static systems and dynamic systems. So what is static system? At any time, output of the system depends only on the present input. What is a static system? Output depends only on present input. This is a static system. What is the dynamic system? Output depends on present as well as past input. So static, and this is the difference between static and dynamic. Output depends only on the present input. If you talk about static, yes, dynamic output depends on present as well as past input. It is also called as memory-less system, and it is called as with memory or memory system, right? So example, if you want to see the example of this is a resistor, because suppose if this is our voltage V1, if you are applying across a resistor R, a certain amount of current will flow, that is I1. If you apply another voltage, that is V2, after some time, and I2 is flowing here for the same resistor, so this I2 will have no relation with this I1, right? I2 will be completely different and will be based on the V2 which is applied. Example for this case is, you can see as inductor. Suppose again we are having, this is a DC source, this is again a DC source, right? We are having an inductor here and a resistor here. So this is connected to this by a switch, and this is also connected by a switch to this inductor V1 and V2. So at time is equal to T1, this at time t is equal to T1, this switch S1 is on, and at time t is equal to T2, this switch S2 is on. At time t is equal to T1, this switch S1 is on, That means inductor will be charging, okay, it will have some flux and it will charge. And what is the current equation for this inductor? That is 1 by L integration of 0 to t bt dt. So this is the current equation for this inductor. And if you switch off this S1, and switch on this S2, so inductor will continue to charge from where the S1 has left. Okay. So whereas if you see an inductor does not charge itself, it dissipates power. So from this we can say that the inductor which is charging depends upon V1 as well as V2. That is, it depends upon the present. Suppose if switch S2 is on, so it is depending upon the present, and it is also depending upon the past input, that is V1. So this is the difference between static and dynamic system.
Sir, the dynamic also depends upon the future.
No, it does not depend upon the future. It only depends upon the present and the past input. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Next is time invariant and time variant system. Time invariant and time variant output under time invariant is output of the system is independent of the time at which input is applied. Output is independent of time at which input is applied. Whereas in this case, output depends on time at which input is applied. So we will see some examples.
Your voice is cracking a bit.
Okay, just wait. So under time invariant system, that means output is independent of the time at which input is applied, and output depends on time at which input is applied. For example, if you see a resistor, again a resistor. So if you apply a voltage across a resistor, let us say at t is equal to time t1, then same amount of current will flow. If you apply again a voltage at t is equal to t2, again the same amount of current will flow. So you can see that the current I is not depending upon the time instant. At whatever time instant you are applying the voltage V, same amount of current is flowing at all the instants. Whereas if you consider the example of this, you can consider as an aircraft as an example of mass m, right? You all know aircraft is having a mass m, and suppose the aircraft is on the airport and it has not started its journey. So the fuel that the aircraft is carrying is full. Let me write full. Fuel is full. So if the fuel is full, suppose it is carrying 10,000 liters of fuel, so that means that much amount of weight will be there, right? That much amount of weight will be there, which is added on to the mass of the aircraft. But if you consider an aircraft at the mid of its journey, when the flight is not over, but when the flight is nearly half completed. So let us assume that the fuel is consumed, 20% or 30% of the fuel is consumed. Now the mass is decreased. Let us consider this as mass m1, and after time t2, when the flight is on the way and it is covered half of its journey, let us say 30% of the fuel is burnt. So mass of the aircraft will be decreased. Okay, if mass of the aircraft is decreased, that means acceleration will also be decreased. Here you can say mass m1 will be greater than m2. Why? Because m1 is the mass of aircraft when it is on the airport and it is not started its journey. M2 is the mass of the aircraft when it has completed some amount of its journey. So m1 will be greater than m2. So according to acceleration is equal to force upon mass. So this you might have already studied, that is force is equal to mass into acceleration, and acceleration will be equal to force by mass. So if you consider this, that is F by m2 and F by m1. Let us say A1 is equal to F by m1 and A2 is equal to F by m2. Just wait for a few. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So we were seeing static, sorry, time invariant, time invariant, and time variant. Here we have seen the example of resistor, where the current across the resistor will not change at the time it is applied. Whereas, for example, here we were talking about aircraft, and we call, let us say, m1 is a mass when it is at airport, and m2 is the mass when it is completed 50% of journey. So force is equal to ma, that we know. So force f1 will be equal to m1 into a, and force f2 will be equal to m2 into a2. So here acceleration will be force, let us say same amount of force is applied. Force will upon m1, and a will be equal to a1 and a2, and a2 will be equal to f upon m2. So m1, m2 is great, m2 is less than m1, because m1 is a mass when no fuel is consumed. So this a2 will be greater than, acceleration will be greater than a2, that is mid-air acceleration will be greater than acceleration the aircraft is subjected at the airport. So this is an example of time variant, that is the output, that is acceleration. Right now in this, in our case, output is acceleration, and acceleration is depending upon the time at which the input is applied, that is input is force. So as we can see, at airport the fuel is consumed, the fuel is not consumed, so mass of the aircraft is more. Whereas if you consider at 50% when it covers the 50% of the journey, the mass of the aircraft is less. So acceleration will be different. This is an example of time invariant and time variant system. Next is causal system and non-causal system. So causal system is output is only dependent upon the inputs already received. Output depends on in present input and past input only. Whereas here output depends on future input as well. So one student was saying, sir, will it depend upon the future as well? So that was the case which he was talking right now. So non-causal systems are the systems in where output depends upon the future input. So whatever the future input, output depends upon that. So we will see an example. Here we can also say that this kind of systems are called as non-anticipatory. That means it does not anticipate. It does not. A system does not anticipate and perform some task, but it learns from its past and it performs the output. Whereas this system are called as anticipatory system. The example for causal system will be thermostat based on AC. A thermostat is an equipment which is attached to your air condition. Its function is to set that certain temperature of your room. Suppose if you are setting your temperature, AC temperature at 18 degree, so it will thermostat, the AC will continue to operate till the room temperature is below 18 degree. And if the room temperature is below 18 degree, your AC will compressor will stop working and it will remain like idle. Okay. But if the room temperature increases from 18 degree after some time, let us suppose it is increased to 19 degree, again the thermostats will detect that room temperature has been increased, so it will again start the compressor function. So room is again starting to cool. So as we can see that it is the input, that is output, is only depending upon the present and past input. If you consider an example for this, can anyone tell what should be the example of non-causal system where output depends upon the future input? Let us say a missile guidance. A missile guidance system. Suppose you are having a target. You are having a target, and this is our missile. And this target is moving with certain velocity, right? The target can go to this point, this place, and this place. The target can go to all this place. So this machine, this missile guidance system will predict the movement of the target and will move according to its motion, right? Whatever a controller is there in the missile, which is attached to the missile itself, and it follows the target. So this is the example of non-causal system. One more example of non-causal system is weather forecasting. So if you have seen the weather report on news, so it predicts the weather of tomorrow or maybe 1 week or maybe for 1 month. So it predicts based on the wind velocity, it predicts on the percentage of humidity, and it also predicts the future. It also predicts the future weather based upon the past weather. That is the same weather on the same day last year. Suppose today is 7th January 2021. So the weather forecasting of this day has some amount of data has been taken from 2020 as well. So that is 7th Jan 2020. What was the weather like on 7th Jan 2020? Some amount of data has been taken from there, and the weather forecasting people have generated certain data. So similarly, the coming days also, they will see what is the weather was like on last year or last 5 years. They will compare the data, and then they will predict, yes, this kind of weather will be there. There is a possibility of rain, or the temperature will rise or temperature will dip. So this kind of system is called as non-causal system. Now, as far as this control system course is concerned, we are only worried about LTI system. That is linear time invariant. In this whole course, we will study only this kind of system. The system which is linear and which is time invariant. We have classified systems into 4 categories, that's linear and non-linear, time invariant and time variant, static and dynamic, and causal and non-causal. And we have also seen some certain examples. So this is just to give you basic or brief idea about what are the different types of systems, how we can classify the system.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So, how weather forecasting is going on non-causal system? So, if you'll see, for prediction, we are taking the past input, right, sir? For predicting the 2021 weather of January, so suppose February, then we have to take the past input like of 2020, 2019, like that. Then here in non-causal, here it is depending on the future input. Then how weather forecasting can be taken as a non-causal system? Going on
See,
non-causal
yes.
system.
See, the weather forecasting has been done based on certain various parameters. It is based on the humidity. What is the humidity of that area? What is the wind area flowing? And what is there any monsoon season which is coming? So all this includes the future input. This will give you if some cloud is coming. So what is the input? That is the rain. Input is the wind which is flowing and due to which the cloud is coming to your city. So it will predict in that sense.
Okay, sir.
So all in all, in this control system lecture, we will focus on our linear time invariant system, and now we will see some very basic, because the time is also less. So we will see what is a control system. We have talked about system. Now we will see what is a control system. Again, this block represents a black box where we are having a system as earlier, and we are also having a controller here. Now we are having controller, and this controller is attached to this system. Earlier we were having only system. Now we are having controller also. That is why we are calling it as a control system. As you can see here, again we are having some input and we are providing and we are getting as an output. This is a system. Sometimes it is also called as plant. Okay, plant or system, interchangeably in many books they will call it as a plant. In some books they will call it as a system. And this is a control, and this whole will be called as a controlled system. So we will discuss this in coming lectures, why we are calling it as a control system, what are the different parameters which are related with the control system or this controller block, because we have already done talking about the system. In coming lectures, we will also see some of the mechanical system, and we will do its modeling, mathematical modeling we will derive its transfer function. We will see what is the transfer function. And we will see the modeling of electrical system as well. So, and we will also see some of the analogies. Analogies means what is the similarities between mechanical and electrical systems. So we will see mathematical modeling in coming classes. Now we will stop. I think it has been erased. So let me see from this. Okay, so we have seen a system, and we have seen a system is any kind of a component or where we provide certain input to get certain output, and these are the various kinds of input that we have already studied, and we will be studying in our future lecture as well. We can also make input based out of this input, and each input will have different response. A system can also be made up from various subsystems, as you can see. So this type of systems are called as complex system. We will also have a look into this in future lectures. We have seen some examples of our system: motor, where input is electrical energy, that we have already seen; air condition, human body, vehicle system. Now we have classified the system based upon certain research, and certain research which has been carried out around the world. So we have classified different kinds of systems, that is linear system, non-linear system, static and dynamic system. We have seen time invariant and time variant, causal and non-causal. And we have said that in this course, we will be focused on LTI system, linear time invariant system. We will not be focusing upon non-causal system. We will not be studying time variant system. And we will not be studying a non-linear system. In whole of this control system course, there is separate subject. If you can open up your syllabus, there is separate subject of non-linear control system. You can find out the heading of the subject is non-linear control system. So we are not worried about non-linear. Right now, we will be focusing our concentration, full concentration upon linear system and linear time invariant system. And I have also given you some basic block diagram of how control systems look like. So this is a controller, and this is a system that we have already studied. It is, and the controller varies the input, or it changes the input, or it manipulates the input so that the desired response or desired output can be achieved. And I also told you that in coming lectures, we will be seeing mechanical systems, electrical systems, what are the similarities between mechanical and electrical systems. We will see the modeling of those systems. We will see differential modeling, that is mathematical modeling, and we will also see transfer function modeling. So these two modelings are there in your syllabus. And one more kind of modeling is there, that is state space modeling. State space modeling, I think, is not mentioned in your syllabus. So we will be avoiding that. But I will be providing brief overview what is state space modeling as well. So any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. You are having classes from 4?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just quickly take attendance. I'm scrolling down slowly. All the names are arranged in ascending order of your roll number. Just check whether your name is there or not. Okay. Is there anyone whose name is not here? Okay. So thank you so much, and we will be meeting again on our next class.
Thank you, sir.